All right, everyone. Guess what? It's another Friday, and I'm back on the show. Right? I've been doing my whirlwind tour of of the United States. I was telling Alan I've been in 4 cities in 3 weeks. Wow, my arm's tired. Right, so anyway, it's good to be back. Welcome to the show. We got a lot of really fun stuff to talk about today, and I can't wait to get into it. And let me tell you, Alan, I missed you, buddy. I missed being on the show, right? And so anyway,
well, I'll tell you what. I think I don't know how if you watched it. I thought we had a great show last week, but it wasn't because of me. Allie Van Holzer is just a rock star, man.
She makes everything she touches better, right?
It is. It is. She was amazing. We had good topics. We didn't get through all of them, which is a good thing. It was great questions. So, Allie, thank you, and for everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, great.
Hey, Marshall, I just thought of something. Did you notice LinkedIn's not signed in?
We had a problem with LinkedIn earlier, and I reconnected, but it didn't connect.
Yep.
So
okay, cool.
If you're trying to watch from LinkedIn, sorry, LinkedIn had an issue, and I tried. I thought I had connected it, and instead of spending the last 30 minutes bullshitting, we should have
done that. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, we were catching up, right?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Alan in weeks, right?
Since Nashville.
Yeah. So
when we were in Nashville, and we did talk about that last week, what a great time it was at Shirt Lab. And it was a real good time.
Yeah. All right. So anyway.
And like you, I've been traveling, man. I have been busy as can be. I have been old school selling. I am calling on new business, man. That has been 90%, and getting some success, and some things just reconnecting, and it's a grind, man. It's every day's a grind.
Yeah. I get it. Right. All right, cool. So we got a couple of people watching. Brian's here from Missouri. Thanks for watching, and happy to your 12,583 day of work, or whatever you posted on Facebook the other day. I really like that. And I liked your very excited looking face, right? So that was a good post. It gave me a chuckle. And then Richard's here from Southeast Michigan, all caps, because that's how we roll in Michigan, right? We're all caps in Michigan.
Absolutely.
Because anyway,
everything's a statement.
Yeah. Sorry, what?
Everything's a statement.
Everything's a statement. Yeah.
Yep. Where are you from? Southeast Michigan, man. Not West Side, not North. We're from the Southeast.
Yeah. Also, here's the thing: where are you? Well, imagine a mitten, like right here, right?
Yep. Well, there's a song about Michigan that says, "Ask me where I'm from. Ask me where I am. I'll show you my hand."
Yeah. Well, the same thing with Florida, but you do the inverted L, right?
Yeah.
And Tallahassee's right here. So
yeah, absolutely. Had a great conversation with Richard this week, and we talked. Friday is when I heard about our friend Glenn Shull.
That's so sad and upsetting. And if you guys didn't know Glenn's been on the show a couple times. Did we ever have him a guest? I know he watches. He watched.
We interviewed him when we were at Printing United last year.
Okay, yeah, and and he's such a good man, and very smart and super funny, and they had the best radio voice, I think, of anybody I know, right?
We did, and we talked, and I guess we didn't know when I talked about it yesterday or Friday. All of us knew Glenn. We love Glenn. I've known Glenn since day one. And, but the hard part is that Glenn didn't just right then, like a day or two. It was a couple of weeks before, and it just didn't get through the industry. And that was disturbing.
Yeah.
Not his fault.
It's people keep things private, and, it takes a minute sometimes, so.
I have, in my trust that if something happens, I'm putting a couple names industry for my family, make sure they know. I would just hate, not that I'm anything important, but you know what? I don't want it to be that of people talking, going, man, remember Alan? He was fun while he lasted, and that was 2 months ago. Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah. So All right. Anyway,
And you're filling in. I know he was on a panel.
we
He was on a
missed you.
panel at Printing United, and you're filling in for it.
Yeah, right.
On there. So yeah.
So Glenn, you'll be missed.
Absolutely.
We love and appreciate all the work that you've done and you as a person. So,
And Richard and me and you worked with them on a committee at the academy, and yeah.
Right.
So anyway.
All right. So let's shift gears a little bit. And Ray's here. Hey Ray, how you doing?
How you doing?
Hey, are you gonna be in Vegas? Let me know. And then Dan's here. Good morning, guys. Good seeing you, Dan. And by the way, Dan kicked some major ass in Nashville for Shirt Lab. So thank you again, Dan, for helping us out. So
did a great job. It was great seeing Dan and his wife.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So all right, you ready to get going with our first topic?
Let's do it.
So our first topic is, how do your customers see you? Right. And I think this industry in particular, we spend a lot of time almost bragging, right? We do this, we do that, we do these other things, whatever, but we're not really ever thinking about how our customers see us. And then also, are we helping them with their problems, whatever their problems are, right? So how do your customers see you, right? Especially in a sales or marketing sense, right? So if your sales approach is all me, right? And you're not actually helping them with anything, right? Maybe that could be a why you're disconnecting a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Alan, what do you think about this? Don't you agree? When you see marketing for shops in this industry, don't you see a lot of this is what we do and whatever? It's really rare to see this is how we help this customer, or a customer saying, hey, I like this shop because of this.
Yeah, it's very rare that this is the experience. This is, how they're a partner instead of just here's what we do. And that kind of throws it back on the person going, here's what we do. Can we help you? No, click this link. If not, no problem on there. Marketing is very much visual. It's very much perception. And what is it? Perception is a powerful thing. And actually, even if it's not true, it's the thing I do. But, you need to adjust how people see you, whether that is the social media that you do or just how you present yourself also.
Yeah. How are you showing up?
Right.
And, are you showing up as somebody that's helping? Are you showing up with some, as a company? Yeah. Are you helping people? And I talk with lots of folks about sales, about marketing, and especially with the younger people, right? They want to buy a pay-per-click ad. They want to just send emails, right? They want to do anything except go see people or do a Zoom call because that's scary, right?
Yeah.
And so I think what's really beneficial to people, if you really work on understanding your clients and you're out there trying to help them, and when they go to your website or they see something, some social media post, can they see themselves in that, right?
Yeah.
Can they see the solution to the problem that they have in what you're doing? I think you're going to be in alignment and resonate with them more than just putting stuff on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. You have to be, are you that solution? Are you that, and not even a sales outlet, are you that partner to their business? And that comes over time.
right.
That's where I was, and I hate to bring this back. I was talking to a distributor rep. He's new in the distributor rep game. He was a printer, and he's, mostly him, flipped an account away from a competitor. And I'm very excited about this. The competitor, we've heard, is pretty upset about it. And word is, he goes, I don't understand it. Him and I are great friends. Well, actually, they're not great friends. he used a lot of that product, but their rep, you know, from what he told me, goes, it just always made me feel stupid, you know, for what I was doing, how I was doing that. And it's not that I, you know, hopefully I don't do that. I don't think so. But the rep he's with is a partner to him. He said, he goes, I don't care what they do. It's not even about price, even if they drop their price. He told the distributor rep, he goes, I know I can call you and count on you. You have helped us more in different areas of our processes than anything else. And that's not a testament to Easyway. That's a testament to that rep. And as him and I were talking about that, I said, that's where you have partners and it's just not a customer. And no matter where you go, when you hear of salespeople, now people that have salespeople will remember this. You think your sales guy's not doing anything and you dismiss him. When he leaves, don't be mad when there's certain customers that follow him, because that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that relationship, that partnership comes into. You know, Marshall, you have it, I've had it. And, you know, him and I were talking about this, and I said, you know, when I left one company and went to one, I said, I never expect them to follow me. If I have a good relationship, all I can ask for is the opportunity.
Right.
But that's where I think it's more of a partner than a customer.
Mm-hmm.
How they see you.
Right. So Brian says no one cares about your squeegee on press. They want apparel that solves their problem.
Yep.
And then network marketing is driving our business right now, not ads.
Yep.
And then Dan says, I often promote myself for how I can benefit most and also what I'm not a good fit for. This avoids many unnecessary communications, right? So I have a friend of mine in the promo industry. His name is Bill Petrie, and his company is Brandivate Marketing. And one of the pages on his website is, here's what we're not. And he has this big list of the 10 or 15 things that he doesn't want to do. And so if you're there for that, he doesn't want to talk to you, right? And I think that's really great, because he's defining the expectations of what he's about and what he wants to do.
Right.
And then he's also, here are the things that I don't want to do, right? Or who are the people I don't want to work with, right? And so if your customers are seeing you in a certain way, right, you know, that's your responsibility to project the best light. So is this something that you're actively working on?
Right.
You're actively making yourself available, or you're showing that you're helpful or whatever, or better, you've got your customers talking about you with a written testimonial or a video or something. I think that is something that really helps this industry, is the whole influencer side of things, right? Because I think some shops come off like used car salesman, kind of like
100%.
And that's not helping the shop in the long term, right?
Right.
So,
right. I agree with you on that. I think that's the other part of being a partner, Marshall, is like Bill Petrie said, here's what we don't want to do.
Yeah.
Here's what we're not. And I had this week. There was a company, a graphic company that I'm trying to get into. I wasn't sure if they screen printed. I'm sure they probably did. They might have done Flexo. Well, they do have a project coming up for screen, and I'm sitting there with them. They're giving me the details, what they want to do. I'm ready on, and I'm knowing this is not my wheelhouse. But if this project goes, it could be beneficial to me. So as I'm taking the notes, I'm explaining to them what we do. Here's the process they need to go to, what it is. But I know people that is their wheelhouse. So I have connected them with actually Jesse Greenwood, because it's a functional printing. And do I know functional printing? Yes. Am I the expert in it to start a project from ground zero of what to do? Absolutely not.
Right.
And I let them know, but they really appreciated that. And yeah. So
good.
Still about being the partner and the problem solver.
Yeah. So by the way, I'm sorry I skipped over some folks. So Chris, good seeing you. Ray says he'll be in Vegas for 2 nights. Good. Can't wait to see you. Cindy says good morning. Good morning, Cindy.
Yep.
And thank you, sir, from Mr. Greenwood. So, all right. So the other thing that I think is kind of in line with this is the rules that you have set up in your business and how you actually work with people. So I was talking with a coaching client this week, and they were telling me about a big problem they had. And they had an order for some T-shirts, and they ended up creating 5 designs for this one T-shirt order. They changed each of the designs multiple times, and then they narrowed it down to one shirt, and that's what they ended up printing. But it was like almost a week and a half of design process, and it's because they allowed that to happen. Sure. And so we talked about having a better art process. That's actually one of the things we taught in Nashville, by the way. And so it's just one of these things where, you can't do that. You can't say, hey, I want you to do 5 designs, and then I'm going to pick the one that I like the best.
Yeah.
Right. And so my answer to that will always be no. Let's ask more questions and design something off the bat that you're going to like, and then do a thumbnail of the layout and say, hey, is this kind of what you had in mind? And then if not, we can make changes to that before we invest lots of time into designing it. And that way we get through the approval process faster. Right. And so how your customers see you, do they see you as an expert? Do they see you that have standards and with processes, that type of stuff? Or do you allow your customers just to walk all over you? Mm-hmm. Right? And you think about other industries, like, you go see the doctors, go see a doctor, right? So Alan, you go see your doctor, right? Can you just walk in and walk right past everybody and go into the exam room and hop up on the table? Or you got to like check in and fill out the clipboard and you maybe even pay? Like, there's things that you got to do first because those are those rules. So in our industry,
and how many
what rules do you have set up for your customer to understand that you're a professional?
How many times in the doctors have we had to fill out what is the history? They want to know the backstory and stuff like that. That gets them to pinpoint everything. You just can't walk in and just go, fix me.
Right. Yeah.
And Marshall, when you were talking about process at Shirt Lab on there, I loved it because everybody said, it's like, yeah, I want some cool shirts. Here's this, how do you want this art? And they'll just say, I remember the quotation, just design something cool.
Do something cool. If you tell me to do something cool, I want to punch you right in the nose.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it got to be, and I actually wrote it down and I talked about it last week on the show, that what you were talking about in process, I'm going, this is just sales 101. Ask the questions. Ask, what are you looking for? Ask where it's for. What is it not? What don't you want? And right. I thought that was big.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think newer salespeople have a hard time with this stuff because they don't have a backbone yet. Right. Yep. The experienced veteran people that have been around the block and they've lost money on projects and whatever, they don't tolerate fools.
Or wasted time on stuff.
Or wasted time, right?
So in sales, the big problem, Marshall, is with new guys is that they will just quote, they're looking at a piece of machinery, they're looking at something, and they go, I have 3 quotes. It's A, B, and C. And I'm like, no, never. Never. That means you didn't ask enough questions of what their problem is, what they're looking for, what their budget is, what their space and stuff. And a newer sales guy asked me, he goes, how many do you do? I go, 1.
Yeah,
I should have it narrowed down, and then I might have plan B on my back pocket.
You might do 1 quote, Alan, but you might also say, here's your 500 shirt price, but by the way, if you order 750, this is where it is.
100%. Here's what you're asking for. Here's what it'll do. Have you thought about this for an extra this? You might not need it now, but as your growth, this.
Well, 30% of Amazon's money comes from people also bought, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're selling a t-shirt, are you talking about the trucker hat and a hoodie and some bumper stickers too? Right. So, you know, so how do your customers see you? Do they see you as a professional resource problem solver person, or are you just McDonald's order taker person?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Mark, how many times on Amazon, you know, you and I are forever looking at microphones and stuff like that. When that comes up, people also bought. I'm always looking at that. What are other people buying? You know, that might be doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, here's a great. Dan says, I was not hired for a position once due to my pointing out that the sales staff and owner were not efficient with the art department's time. They brought up the number of design revisions, such as 5 to 8 revisions, and how the art department needs to improve. It was at least mostly the sales staff that needed some improvements. They didn't like that answer. Yeah, so they didn't like speaking truth to power.
They
didn't want to solve the problem is the issue here, right? So,
and that goes into, don't confuse me with facts. My mind is made up.
Yeah, right. You know,
also your bosses don't
all
like you
ego
that.
There, man, right there. That's all ego.
Yeah.
So, all right. Hey, do you remember what the second thing was?
I didn't write anything down. I don't.
Okay, you ready? It's
go.
Start with the right people. Okay, and the reason why I want to talk about this was I've been in a lot of shops lately. Okay. And when you go to a lot of shops, you really see what's working. And of course, in my brain are also the shops that they're not quite as good. Okay. Right. And a lot of times it's the differences the people, right? And so what I want to kind of talk about here is just to use a different kind of metaphor, right? Is food, right? So you can eat a lot of cheeseburgers and chicken wings and milkshakes and ice cream and potato chips and junk food and Snicker bars or whatever with the mentality that you're going to work all that off when you balloon up to 8 million pounds, right? Or you can just eat better, eat fruits and vegetables and have things in moderation and whatever. And then guess what? You don't have to work. You don't have to work as hard.
Yep.
Right. So it's the same thing with the people you bring into your shop, right? So if you allow people in, I just need a warm body. I just need warm bodies. You're going to have problems.
Yep.
But if you hire better, which means maybe pay more money, right? You'll get better employees and you won't have to have so many problems. You won't have to have, overtraining and reviewing and problems with, people not showing up on time or whatever, because you've hired professionals.
Yep.
Okay. So start with the right people. And of course, you've been in tons of shops just like me, right? Don't you agree with the people is what makes the shop really hum and sing and just kick ass, right?
And the people also can make your shop die too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a problem. I was at a shop that they just ended up firing people.
Yeah. So the takeaway is to only hire skinny people who bring their own lunch. Yes, that's what I was trying to get across. Thanks, Ray.
Yep.
And he also says, knowing the backstory goes toward our discussion on call reports for salespeople and records of what your client does and how.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, starting with the right people. So, I've hired and fired like a lot of people over the years. And I can tell you the people that really made a difference were the ones that had great interviews that were really interesting. What's going on with my computer?
I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at mine and there's something wrong with the plug too. So we're having major technical in our own.
So something like my whole computer went black and shut
flashed. Yeah. Well, you froze for a second.
All right. I don't know. You might have to carry the show by yourself here in a minute.
Last week I was there and Allie went away all of a sudden. So I was carrying the show for about 5 minutes till she got logged back on. So, hey, it happens. That's what we do.
So what the hell was I saying? yeah, who you're letting on your team, right?
Yeah.
So, I had a really good hiring process that I used, and I wasn't 100% accurate, but yes, the government checking in. Thanks. Yeah, they knew I was in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Last week, right?
Marshall was a delegate at the DNC for Arizona.
Yeah. So anyway, I think your teamwork makes the dream work. Do we have professionals that work here, or do we have a bunch of babies? Right? Do you have to remind people 100 times to do stuff to whatever, or are they professional? Right? And do you and the other thing I'll tell you is a lot of people let the problems fester by not saying anything.
Right.
And so if you start with the right people, you don't really have that problem. But if you've got folks on your staff that you're always worried about, right? I would suggest getting new people, but you have to tell them, hey, you can't come in late, or you can't eat Doritos on the production floor, or whatever, right? And you have to say that right then and there. Stop what you're doing and say it, right? And better is to have other employees that don't put up with that.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, most of the time, the varsity wants to play with other varsity players. They don't want to put up with the JV crap.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Dean says, "Happy Friday."
Hey, Dean.
Yes, spell check. and Richard says, "Oh, okay, only a second, right?"
Well, the government looked in on you for a second, goes, "Okay, not worth it," and left.
Ray says, "I get the question about 3 times a month. Do I know any trained quality people looking for work, or at least smart people willing to learn?" It's a big problem.
Yeah,
it is a big problem. And I will, because I've got a book coming out. It's called Inclusivity. We're going to have a big thing at Printing United Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the Apparel Zone, by the way. Come on by for our book launch discussion. It's one area that is often missed are disabled folks.
Yep.
And these are people who could be autistic, maybe they're deaf, maybe they're blind, maybe they're missing a leg. I mean, whatever. They've got some sort of challenge.
Yeah, something.
And what happens is we're always looking for people who look and talk and speak just like us.
Yep.
And by not looking at hiring disabled people, you're completely avoiding the largest demographic in the United States of people who want to work. They just need the opportunity. And Marshall,
can we word it this way? You're completely ignoring a valuable resource.
Yes, exactly right. And I think a lot of folks, and the reason why we're writing this book is because it's scary to them to think, well, if I hired somebody that was in a wheelchair, I don't know, do I have to build the ramp? And there's a lot of stuff with that. There are resources out there that can help you with all of that, and most of the time, you don't have to spend any extra money to hire these folks, right?
Yep.
So that's a whole different topic, and we don't need to go crazy into it, I think. But
but finding the right person for the right job and thinking outside of the box is huge. And it just hit me. You know who did this years ago? And it almost gets made fun of a little bit now. But Walmart always has at the front door who? The Walmart greeter.
Yeah.
Those are always a senior citizen, retired, wanting to make a little extra to supplement their income. Perfect job.
Yeah, right.
And they found a resource. They're utilizing it. And I've talked to people who work there as Walmart greeters, older people, love it.
Yeah, right. So Davis is here. Hey, Davis.
Davis.
And Ray says, many owners miss the old days when they could beat and threaten employees. They would then improve and not take it personally. Yeah. So the beatings will continue until morale improves, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
that was from the Communist Mein Kampf and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah. And Brian says he was at Taco Bell last night. Sorry. And that was 25 minutes behind because not enough employees and too many online orders. So hold on. Did you wait 25 minutes for Taco Bell? Really?
There's not a lot in Pacific.
I had to throw that in there. Joe says, howdy, folks.
Joe from Florida?
Yeah, no, he lives in Georgia.
In Georgia, yep.
Yeah. And I went to one shop in Texas that had 60% of their staff being disabled with special accommodations set up for each. The owner said they were the most reliable and dedicated staff they ever had. Exactly.
Yep.
So the guys that are writing the book with me are the owners of Steaks Manufacturing in Cleveland and also Spectrum Designs in New York. And both have a large group of disabled employees, mostly on the autism spectrum, but Steaks has people that are in wheelchairs and stuff. And so it's like one of these things where they're best employees.
Right.
They outperform able-bodied people a lot of times, right? So,
you know, ATS in Bay City says the same thing. They hired a lot of people that have had some traumatic head injuries and said, man, they are incredible.
Yeah, right. Brian says, hold on. Brian says, nope, they told me they wouldn't even take a new order. Well, there you go.
Taco Bell.
Yeah, Taco Bell refusing work.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something people need to think about, like that while everything's going automation, when people are ordering online, I stopped off at a Starbucks on my way home yesterday just to send some emails, check some stuff. And there weren't a lot of people there, even through the drive-through, but I'm going, why are they so busy? And they hit me, online orders.
Yeah. Well, you can order with your app and show up and pick it up.
Yep. And it was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. Ruben's here. Hey, Ruben.
From Chicago.
Happy Friday. Ruben. Sometimes it's better to work along that way. Things are done to perfection.
Yep.
And then Ray says, to bring back to the real world, there was a time when you could skillfully push or drive promising employees and they respond and bloom and prove. The basic employee stock herd is thin. Yes.
True, but even more important reason why to make sure you start with the right people.
So before the show, you told me about the shop in Youngstown, right? So why don't you talk about Gorilla Joe and kind of the leadership change a little bit, because that was a good hire.
And we have had Gorilla Joe on here. It's been years. We probably should get him back. And you've had him on jerseys and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. In an upcoming shop, they now have 4 or 5 automatics. You know, they've done contract and not. They do not as much contract. But I know, Marshall, they have been a coaching client of yours. They've had some others and really put into practice, you know, what they're doing of their processes and everything. Now, I was just there, and their production manager is now, I think, the president of the company. Now, not a large company, but it has allowed Joe to actually work on the business and not in the business.
Yeah, that's great.
And Nate has taken over all of it, and it's incredible. And I couldn't be more proud of Nate because, you know, he's been through a lot. I knew him when he was just out of high school, when he worked for a shop in Pittsburgh. He's come through. He's had some life challenges and stuff and really just done well. And, you know, we were talking about some things. Him and I were at lunch, and I said, you know, he was a fishing buff of trout fishing and stuff for a while. And he says, you know what, Alan? He goes, I do need to get back fishing. He goes, but right now, you know, I'm focused on here's what I want to do at work. Here's what I do in my life. And really, it's just been a growing up thing. And, you know, what a great hire to bring up and to do that. And he has full control of everything.
Yeah, that's great. And what's really cool is now I'm all blurry.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to duck out. I need to see what's wrong before my battery dies on my, see why my computer's not plugged in.
So, yeah.
Hang on.
Right, so Alan's leaving and I'm blurry. Okay. Hey, everyone. So let's try to get the focus back. Hey, there you go. Solve one problem. So the thing that, you know, starting with the right people, I think the thing here with Nate, of course, is that Joe has given him some trust and has actually probably mentored him and given him some stretch opportunities to kind of grow him into that role. I've done that with the shops that I've run with different people, and and that's how you get your bench strength, right? That's for a press operator or a manager for a department or whatever. Do you have the number two trained up right now? So they can take over when that person leaves or gets sick or has a vacation or whatever. That's what you want, right? And a lot of times we can't move somebody into a new role because they're so good at what they do. And then that stagnates them. And then guess what? They want to have a better career. And so they go off and they work somewhere else. They'll just get another job, right? And now you don't have them there and you've got a big hole, right? So getting people trained and experienced is a big thing. So.
And like you said, this is not a big shop. I mean, it sounds like it's big, but you've been there. It's not monstrosity. It's not Culture Studios or Sharp Prints, who you were just at.
Yeah.
It's a nice shop. They've got employees and stuff. But while you're right, Nate has gained Joe's trust, but Nate has earned that trust too. And not only has Joe mentored them, they have been mentored together in a lot of ways.
Right.
As they grew. And that helps when you're there on the journey together.
Yeah. Right. All right. New topic. You ready?
Yep. Go.
How cheap is your happiness?
Well, I think for Brian Bufka, it's a taco at Taco Bell. I mean, Brian, I'm very disappointed. I thought more highly of you.
Yeah. So I was at Culture Studio a couple of days ago, and Carlo Oviedo, who is the head of sales there, one of the partners, I was in his office, and I always like to look on what's on people's whiteboards. I've been actually in Alan's office right here, and I looked at his whiteboard, and it was really empty, so I added something. But
up there. And what did you add? Do you remember?
Yeah, you can't deposit excuses.
Absolutely, and I keep it up there.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I was looking at his whiteboard, and he had this phrase, "How cheap is your happiness?" And I said, "Carlo, what does that mean? Explain that to me." And he was talking about, making customers, employees, him, whoever, happy, right? And so, when we defined your happiness, everybody gets happy over different things. And I think a lot of times people skimp out and cheap out on making themselves happy. Is happy the right type of coffee? Is happy remembering somebody's name? Is happy doing some nice thing for somebody? Is happy, the afternoon off to go play with your kids, right? What is the happy, right? And then how can you make the people work around, oh my God, here you go.
Oh yeah, I just saw that.
So you poke the bear, this is what you get, right? And my happiness is Alan's
first.
That's launching next week, right?
I'm surprised from eating Taco Bell. He's able to listen. He should be probably in the bathroom.
So how cheap is your happiness? What drives that, right? And I think a lot of times I'm guilty of this, especially right now. I am so overworked. I've got so many things on my plate. I have to prioritize what I'm doing, and it's just crazy. Okay. And my wife still told me the other day, she goes, "Why do you do this to yourself?" I'm like, well, I didn't really mean to. It's like this trip got bumped because of this or whatever. And now here we are. Right.
Yeah.
And because trust me, I've been away more than I've been home in the July and August. I like my own bed, right? I like hanging out with my family. I like doing that stuff, right? But it's just the way it is, right? So how cheap is your happiness? My happiness is just really, last night I was hanging out. I got off work a little early. I was just hanging out. I started watching TV. I made a snack, and I was like as content as you can be because I wasn't running through an airport.
Okay. Same thing. When I was younger, and I think as we go through life, how cheap is your happiness? That changes on there and what your happiness is.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. As much as we travel, sometimes just being home. I like my reclining chair. I like sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah.
It's just the simpler things in life. When you're retiring, I hear people say you've got to have multiple millions, and I'm going, okay, that is how, where's your happiness? Some people got to have the same lifestyle. So I've gotten older, my lifestyle's shrunk and shrunk and shrunk.
Right.
And
well, how cheap is your happiness? What do you need? Right. I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't need a whole lot. Right. And although it's great to have a bunch of things,
yep.
I'd rather just hang out with friends and family than anything.
But now the backside of it is, I love Ruben's there. The backside of it is, how cheap is your happiness, Marshall? When you're in business and there is something you're going that you can be too cheap, and you're going, I'm paying for this because it's cheap. It's cheap. It's
right.
cheap. And it just adds more work. You can pay more for a process, a machinery, change something and going, oh my gosh, I'm now in heaven.
Right. So you think about your employees, like what will make them happy? Are they frustrated with the work they're doing? Could you buy them a bigger monitor? Right.
Right.
Could you invest in some better tools? Could you, have more information on the art side so you don't have to do 11 revisions? Right.
Right.
So we have a lot of frustration in what we do. How can we mitigate that?
Yep.
Right. All right, some comments, right? So Ruben says, congrats on Culture Studio. It's a role model for indie shops in Chicago area and suburbs. Yeah, it was great. They have a new expansion. It was really good to see. Talked to a lot of folks that were there. It was a lot of fun. Happy to be there.
The new machines that are in there, incredible. So
yeah. Happiness is
Culture
good.
Studio also has Blue Water. They're easily Blue Water customer.
Yeah. You got to throw that in. That's happiness for Alan is throwing in
this plug. So Sharpens, you're in both.
Name dropping.
Yeah.
Ray says happiness is good enough consulting contract to generate enough money for a screen process diagnostic tools on my wish list. Charge it to the customer. There you go. Dan says that he's going on vacation starting Monday. I recently got a call for IM and service. Can only do it tomorrow. Yeah, I still have tons of things to put to bed. But it's another thing I love to do for people. And I had to make the decision to not be the one, to not overload myself. Hard to learn. Great.
100%.
Great. Ruben says, happiness is salmon and trout fishing early morning on a Sunday. That's great.
Absolutely.
And Brian says, we're way overbooked right now, but happiness will be doing something for Myra, which is his wife, this weekend for her birthday. That's awesome.
My question is, Brian, are you sure Myra wants to spend time with you? Maybe she does.
Well, so the answer is yes.
As you guys know, Brian and I have this little back and forth. I do love him. He's a great guy. Yeah.
So anyway, so how cheap is your happiness? I think it's something just to kind of ponder over. Right now, tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Do you know?
Saturday.
And what happens tomorrow? Do you know?
I think college football.
College football. What happens tomorrow? Do you know?
No. Florida State game.
Florida State plays tomorrow. We play Georgia Tech. They're actually in Dublin, Ireland. And here where I live in Arizona, the game starts at 9:00 in the morning, which is always weird to me, but I'll be right there rooting for my team. That's football season to me is happiness, or as my wife likes to call it, the lost season, right? Because as soon as football's on, that's where I'm sitting, right? I'm watching the game, right? So anyway, so what is your happiness, right? And one comment till we get to the next thing. So I love being able to bury a new tool in a bill without affecting my client. Yeah, that's great.
I think Marshall also got to add, I can't, while I name drop Culture and Sharp Prints on Blue Water and Easy Way and stuff, I don't think I can count how many times people have finally invested in something in their shop and just said, I should have done this years ago.
that's why I brought this up. How
Yep.
cheap is your happiness? Right now, we're struggling with something, whatever that is.
Yep.
Right? What if that went away?
Yeah.
How much would it cost for that problem to go away?
Absolutely.
Right? Is it a membership? Is it some software? Is it a new tool? Is it a VA? What is it? Whatever the problem is, what are you doing to solve it? And then how cheap is that? Right?
Well, Marshall, you were talking too. What did I finally do this year? I got my own VA.
Yeah.
I don't use her as much as you do, but she just completed a big project for me, a non-industry one. And no, it's not a podcast. It was from a missions thing. And they just completed. I just watched the video today, and that would have never got completed.
Yeah.
And you know what? She doesn't have the skills for video, but I know her kids do and all that. And so they put it in. It was perfect. It was great.
That's great. Perfect.
And so, yeah, I would have never been able to do that and help in this project without it. Now I also have next project, and that's going to be from me.
Hey, here you go. Nice segue, Mr. Howe.
Yep.
If you need deadlines to do your best work.
Yep.
And I think a lot of times we don't get things done because when I have some time, that's when I'll do it.
And they have to be hard deadlines. Because deadlines.
Here's the thing. What if instead of a reward, there's a penalty? There's a self-imposed penalty. Okay. So you'll donate $100 to your worst political rival that you hate, right? If you don't do it by a certain deadline, right? Or whatever. And if you do it, you get to treat yourself to some Taco Bell, right, or whatever, right? So, deadlines to do your best work. Okay, I love deadlines. I've got a calendar. I put stuff on it, and a lot of times we're pushing that deadline, right? And so sometimes we don't do things because there isn't a deadline, and we need that deadline to make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And they got to be hard deadlines. I'm famous for, if I set a deadline myself, it's usually in the sand, which I can move it and all that. But when I have partnering with other people like this project with my VA, we set a deadline. Did we go over a little bit? Yes, but we had a majority of it. The raw stuff was done. I got the video edit. We got to edit some stuff. Hey, change this. And now I just saw the final, and I couldn't be more happy. So you got to make sure that these can't be deadlines and lines drawn in the sand. Yeah. I had a deadline. They asked me to do something at work. We were on there, and I asked the sales assistant, I go, can you please put a task on my stuff? And that task comes up, and I go, put 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks was a Friday. It was done Monday.
Yeah.
But at least I knew I was working on it. I was actually working on it during Shirt Lab. So.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So I think deadlines are really important, right? And by the way, if you've got a big project, do a lot of little mini deadlines and break it into small chunks.
Yep.
Like, for example, for your podcast, Alan, one deadline could be by the end of next week, you're going to subscribe to Buzzsprout and start and have the ability to actually push your podcast out, right? And then the next deadline could be coming up with a guest list or write a little mini business plan, whatever, right? Those are ways that you can get things done, right? That's how I do all the crazy things that I do.
I think we need to come up with a different example than that. We're just fueling Brian. But yeah.
Right.
But you're 100% right.
Yeah. So Richard says, Brian, I thought it was a bon voyage party for Myra before she moves to North Carolina.
Before she goes to North Carolina.
Yeah. So that's an inside joke. If you don't know, another shop owner we know, Mike, is moving to North Carolina, has threatened to take Myra with them to work for him.
Who's moving to North Carolina?
Mike Woolbright.
Really?
Yeah, he's buying he's completely moving to North Carolina like real soon. By the end of the year, I think he'll be there. Right. So
I did not know that. Congratulations, Mike. Great.
Yeah. Dan says convincing people to do the right thing now, they can't afford not to, is a major mental challenge. Hard to get over that hurdle. As much as I know now, it's still hard to do. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. And then Ruben says nothing. So,
I love that.
hey, you forgot to type. So,
Well, Ruben, I've been to your shop. So some of these things we've talked about, Ruben has a shop. He has one automatic and stuff. Great shop. I have been there, and right there in Chicago. And yeah, I'd love to know, Ruben, what do you think? What are some things maybe you need to do? How are you thinking about some of this stuff?
yeah. So while we got a minute, I want to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So I haven't posted this on social yet, but
I've been,
at
some people have,
Printing
and I've
United
been,
Expo, this is the lineup for all the Academy folks. Okay.
yep.
We're going to be on Wednesday, September the 11th in room S231, wherever that is. We're there from 11 to 5. Okay. Basically, on the top of each hour, there's a different presentation going on with arguably some of the most brilliant and smartest people in the industry. And I don't know how, but I'm on 2 of these panels, right? So, but it's going to be just an amazing event. And so, if this interests you, I think that you really need to look at coming to these. And I'll have some social media posts with links here soon. But if you go to Printing United, you can just look them up. But if you're going to be there Wednesday, September 11th at S231, that's where we're going to be hanging out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
Marshall, which ones are you on?
I'm on What's AI Doing to My Color with Jim Raffle.
Is that just you and Jim, or is that a panel?
It's just me and Jim.
Okay.
And then Make Your Equipment Pay Up. This was Glenn Shull's thing, and he was going to be the moderator for this panel discussion. Of course, I'm taking over for Glenn, and I had a call with Travis Barcelona with NASDAR yesterday.
Incredible guy.
So we're going to be doing that, and it's really about how to be return on investment and profit with equipment, and just our thoughts on that. Right?
Who else is on that panel?
Him and Tim Quinn.
Tim Quinn from NASDAR.
Yeah,
these are both digital color experts, man. Great people.
Yeah. So, so we're not going to be talking about really specific equipment models. We're really talking about, general speaking, how to make your equipment not only pay for itself but be profitable.
I'm going to put a plug in for the printing the future now. You hear us talk about Ray Greenwood's in this industry about functional printing and stuff. That's the future of printing. And if you're at Printing United, even if you don't do it, you need to sit in on this, because here's what's happening. And I remember a friend of mine, the late Gene Hash, who passed away about the same time Glenn did. He was in that electronic and functional printing, and he told me, and we've talked about this before, that these are mostly engineer companies, and they're used to dealing on hard subjects. Well, now into the electronic, where it becomes a sensory technology stuff, we're talking almost a textile. And Gene had this vision saying, I took him into some big textile shops, that, man, some of these shops could do functional printing, because it's all about how are you controlling your variables and what to do. And if you're looking for a new market, something that is coming out, you might want to sit in this, at least just to know what it is.
Yeah.
Because it could be something, and that's very exciting.
So the first topic is a panel discussion with Mike Ruff leading the charge.
Yep.
Printing the Future Now, which you were just alluding to. Andy McDougall's doing that one. Jim Raffle.
And that's a panel. That's a panel.
That's a panel. They're all panels except for the last one. So What's AI Doing to My Color is me and Jim talking about that. Make Your Equipment Pay Up. I'm the panel moderator for that one. Connecting Printers with Installers. That's Ray Weiss doing that panel. And the Future of Profitability. This is the only standalone presentation, and that's Mark Coudre's. So
got to go to it, man.
Yeah. So these are all going to be great. And so if you're going to Printing United in Vegas, would love to see you there. I'm flying in on Tuesday the 10th, and I'll be there to the 13th. If you're there, would love to hook up. You can grab some dinner or breakfast or whatever. Would love to do that. But my dance card fills up sometimes, so just reach out now. So
Yeah.
I can. I'll have a car, so I can meet whoever or pick you up, and we'll go somewhere. Whatever, right? So
make sure if you're going to Printing United, hook up on Marshall. I won't be there this year. Man, make sure you hit these classes. It'd be awesome. And then I think later that day on Wednesday at 4:00, Academy presentations and stuff, who's been voted in. There's some other things going on, some awards at the apparel zone there. Marshall, on my behalf, will be handing over. I won the Parmesan Award, and we'll be handing that over to the next recipient.
You're going to let me know who wins it, right?
You and I have talked about the one, but I have another one I want to run by you. I need you to look to see if he's had it before, and I'm not sure, but it'd be good too. So anyways, but yeah, you hear us talk about the Academy. This is where you get to hear the best of the best.
Yeah. So it's going to be really great.
And they just let me hang out with them at times. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so we'd love to see anybody that's going, that kind of thing. So
yep.
All right. So winding down here, we got a couple minutes left. So, Alan, what are you seeing out there in the industry that I think would make the biggest difference for a shop right now? Like today, if they did something today, what's gonna be the biggest impact?
In screen, so I run in the screen.
Whatever.
I run in screen. I'm telling you right now, it's the same old thing. It's not changed. What are you doing? Labor is still the most expensive thing. What are you doing to become more efficient? And that could be a couple things. Is it an auto coder? Is it an auto reclaim? Is it a semi-auto reclaim? End of the year is coming up. Check with your accountant. If you don't know that now, do you have to spend money? I talked to a shop today. He's looking at some DTF. I've also thrown out something in his. He goes, I didn't check that out. I didn't think about it. But you have to be knowing this now of what is the future of it and how are you going to, how cheap is your happiness, I guess is what it comes to, Marshall.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. I am again going to push. If you are going to a show, you need to go to a show. Go to a good one. And you cannot do better than going to seminars. I am highly disturbed when people go to shows. Yeah, I never go to a seminar and stuff. Fail. Do that. Make plans. Not everybody goes, we're always so far away. Just go. Stop whining. It's not going to be in Dubuque, Iowa. Sorry, Tom Rowan. He would love it to be. Tom goes to things. It's not going to be in Davison, Michigan. Go to Long Beach. Go to Printing United. Have a plan. Who are you going to see? What are your needs? Go do it. Don't just, I'll figure it out when I get there. Have a plan.
Yeah. How cheap is finding your new customer, your new printer, your new solution to that problem? They're all at the trade show, right? Yep. You just got to turn over the right rock, right? And
absolutely.
And find
and it's all about networking too. Again, I was talking to Natick Gorilla Joe's, probably going to Long Beach. And they were talking, they've been there, and these are some fun guys, man. I don't hang out with them anymore because
I've hung out with them. They're fun.
Oh yeah, they are, but don't go late. And that's way past mine. And I have two. But he's saying, yeah, if we go there, and he goes, if I go, he goes, we got to have a plan. We can go party and see friends anytime. But he's right. I love that mindset. And we were talking about that. Where are you going? What's in the future? What do you need to look for? Who do you need? We were talking about some of his accounts that he has this new salesperson. And all right, hey, we were talking about employees of the right person. Their new salesperson told me about came from a different company who, Marshall, I'll tell you the story. And they let her go because for some stupid reason, but they were paying her nothing. She has brought in huge business. Gorilla Joe hired her immediately. She's bringing huge business. So I was talking to him about these band tours. I go, these guys tour internationally. Do you have that business? Well, we can't ship to wherever. I said, they'll tour Southeast Asia. I know a guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be there. Find out. And there's your thing. And then that's how a lot of these places did. When these bands, you have the contract here, they're touring the United States, you're doing it. When they go to Europe, partner.
Yeah. So we got some last minute comments, and then we're going to have to wrap up.
Let's do it.
So Ruben says, I would love to have another Ruben Mesa on my team because it's been super tough competing with other shops. And lately, good team members are hard to come by with quality prints, standards. Yes, I do need a whole phone call with Marshall for better functional shop. Yeah, Ruben, let's get it going.
Well, Ruben, like I said, I've been to your shop, and let me help you. There isn't another Ruben. You're going to have to train that person. You're not going to find him.
And Richard says, I loudly second the seminar Alan recommended about profitable functional printing. That's Printing the Future Now at 12 o'clock in room S231, Wednesday, September the 11th. And then Ruben also says, the only way to success is sales, 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 sales with profits. Right?
With profitable sales, yes. But it's got to be sales that you can put out on time. If you're overloaded with sales and can't produce, you might be shooting yourself in the foot too.
And last comment, and then we're off. So shows you can also find your new employees or sales staff. Often there's usually a wall where people stick up their number and they are hiring for printers, looking for new positions, etc. Right.
Well, and great comment, Dan. And let me comment on that. This is a weird time for our country and stuff. And some people say we're up, we're down. When things are down, this is the time, if you're smart, where you start looking for resources, people, and supplies and stuff. So be smart about it.
Yeah, right. All right, everyone. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. And take care. Have a great weekend and go Knowles.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, everyone.
See ya. Bye.